WFSB Channel 3. Now, Eyewitness News Nightbeat.
Tonight, police round up the final suspect in the Keeny Park murder of Wesleyan student activist Nicholas Haddad. Good evening. 20-year-old Ari Steele of Hartford is being held tonight on a $75,000 bond. She has admitted driving the getaway car the night Haddad was shot and has detailed the role each of his two alleged killers played. State's Attorney John Bailey explains the delay in her arrest.
Well, the warrant has not been made public yet. It won't be made public until after she's arraigned tomorrow. She has cooperated with the Hartford Police Department. Any person who does give a statement to the police, they verify certain aspects of the statement, which they did in this case.
Steele has told police her boyfriend, 20-year-old Carl Leitner, and 21-year-old Kumar Viswanathan carried out the killing. She drove them to Keeny Park, where they shot Haddad to death in a drug deal gone bad.
I think it's far too early to talk about immunity in this case. I think the judge who signed the warrant, Judge Norco, reviewed the facts of the case and set the appropriate bond.
Leitner is claiming Viswanathan was the trigger man. Viswanathan will be extradited from Cleveland Thursday or Friday. He was arrested there with his cousin Sudama Ranganathan on a bus to California. Eyewitness News has learned Ranganathan offered himself for arrest at that point, telling FBI agents he was responsible for the firebombing at Wesleyan last April. The firebombing of the president's office, in which Nicholas Haddad was among the initial suspects. So tonight's arrest of getaway driver Ari Steele brings the case full circle, though prosecutor Bailey says it's unlikely the case will go to trial for at least a year because of a heavy court backlog. Denise?
Well, also tonight, Hartford police arrest 3 people, one of them a juvenile, in the robbery and assault of a father and son pizza delivery team. Police say 19-year-old Benjamin Maldonado, 16-year-old Juan Ocasio, and the juvenile are part of a gang that attacked Roberto Ruiz and his son Roberto Jr. as they made a delivery on Broad Street back on July 12th. The two defended themselves with a knife and baseball bat, killing one of the alleged attackers, 19-year-old Jose Crespo.
Tonight, a head-on collision in Branford hospitalizes 3 people. The crash resulting from a high-speed police chase which began on I-95 and ended at North Main Street near Sullivan's Cafe. State police went after the car on suspicion of drunk driving after it was observed to be weaving through traffic. The car, with Rhode Island plates, turns out to be stolen. The young driver and his passenger are among those injured, along with the Guilford woman who was driving the other car involved in tonight's collision. Police are still at the scene, and North Main Street remains closed where the crash occurred.
Extra security will be on hand Friday for Middletown's annual sidewalk sale, 1 year after the brutal murder of 9-year-old Jessica Short. Young Jessica was shopping with her family and friends when mental patient David Peterson lunged at her with a knife in front of horrified witnesses. Peterson had walked away from Connecticut Valley Hospital. This year, hospital staff will join the 30 police officers stationed at that festival Friday.
They're going to be taking additional precautions with respect to their whole program of passes, day passes, what they recommend to residents of Connecticut Valley Hospital about leaving that day.
I saw the girl laying on the ground, and I don't want to see another child laying on the ground.
Will you come down?
I'll stay down that end.
City officials are expecting as many as 60,000 shoppers.
In Southington tonight, residents battling a waste disposal plant have new weapons for the fight. Federal lawsuits calling for heavy fines, which if successful would mean financial ruin for Solvents Recovery Service. Nightbeat reporter Steve Jarrell has late details.
Federal officials call it the case of industrial pollution in Connecticut. The alleged violator, Solvents Recovery Service of Southington.
We will absolutely not tolerate this kind of violation. It is violation after violation, and it will simply not be tolerated.
The company's accused of breaking federal laws governing disposal of waste. It declined to comment on the lawsuit announced in the news conference. But in the neighborhoods surrounding SRS, some believe polluted groundwater from the plant may have caused higher than normal rates of bladder and testicular cancer. Maria Ticito is leading the fight.
Someone has accepted what we've done, finally. You know, the government is behind us. We've always been apprehensive about what we've done. We knew we were going to open a can of worms.
Ticito admits until now she's been viewed by some in town almost as a crusader, a radical operating out of her home with no proof at all that the groundwater can cause cancer. She still doesn't have the proof, but the company she suspects of causing the problem could be crushed by the lawsuit. Officials will seek $8 million in penalties and fines, $770,000 in investigation costs, and up to $25,000 a day for alleged continuing violations.
This is another step forward in a long, drawn-out battle.
A battle officials hope will force the plant to close. Steve Gerald, Channel 3 Eyewitness News on the Nightbeat, Southington.
Residents in Hartford South End demand tonight that 2 firehouses temporarily closed be reopened before November 1st. Dozens of neighbors gathered at the Memorial Baptist Church, urging city officials to put fire companies 15 and 9 back in business sooner than promised. Residents say the city's South End cannot wait until November for protection from the 2 New Britain Avenue stations.
We played a shell game, juggling people here and there without giving the taxpayers and citizens of the South End of Hartford frontline fire protection. Engine companies put out fires, not Special Services Department.
But city officials say their hands are tied until November because of union restrictions and money problems.
Well, the 1990 Olympics, Connecticut style, get underway tonight in Willimantic. Opening ceremonies for the Nutmeg Games are held as more than 3,200 athletes prepare for raw competition. Nightbeat reporter David Ushery has the story.
Welcome to the East Region.
Some 3,000 people have accepted the challenge of demonstrating pride in their state with athletic vigor. Bring on the 1990 Nutmeg Games. Connecticut is one of 42 states to hold an Olympic-style expression of competitiveness. Tonight, hundreds gathered under rain clouds at Wyndham High School for opening ceremonies. The number of athletes is higher in this second year of the Games, and so is the support.
This might be as close to an Olympics as I ever get.
Is that right?
Sure, this is exciting.
It gives them a good opportunity to get out and compete with kids from all over the state, which they don't have normally. So it's a good idea.
Athletes, both young and old, will compete in 20 sports. The teams are divided into 4 regions of the state.
Last year was the first year of the Nutmeg Games, and there were a few kinks in the program, including a delayed scoring system and some sports that were simply underrepresented. But the organizers say they've worked on it in the past year and expect the 1990 Nutmeg Games to rival the Olympics.
The thing that we really wanted to accomplish this year, we wanted to make it a dressier event. We wanted to polish it up a little bit, and I think we've accomplished that.
Many are competing for the second time, and if you think they're any less enthusiastic,
shows that all the people are interested in the sport and that they come out and they do the best they can.
The athletes will take the field at Eastern Connecticut State University Wednesday and continue through Sunday. David Ushery, Channel 3 Eyewitness News on the Nightbeat, Willimantic.
It would appear they're psyched.
I would say. Still to come on Eyewitness News, the Supreme Court nominee prepared for some tough confirmation hearings.
And once you've won your case in small claims court, how do you collect the damages? Deborah Kent explains in a Nightbeat Extra series coming up next.
You're watching Eyewitness News Nightbeat, Southern New England's #1 newscast with Don Locke, Denise D'Ascenzo, Hilton Catterley Weather, and Dave Smith Sports.
Supreme Court nominee David Souter is already preparing for his Senate confirmation hearings in September. Before a photo session today, presidential aides warned Souter that his life would be picked apart and everything he has ever written or said closely scrutinized. Sources say Souter indicated there was nothing in his past he felt uncomfortable with. A key battleground, though, will be abortion.
If this Senate knew, or even highly suspected, even if he hadn't actually said, I will overturn Roe, I think if we actually thought that or knew that, he could not be confirmed.
The Congress in recent years has moved far too far toward asking potential judicial appointees to outline their substantive positions on cases dear to the hearts of the legislators posing the question.
President Bush is expected to formally submit Souter's nomination to the Senate tomorrow.
The president, meanwhile, continues to extol the qualities of his Supreme Court nominee. Tonight at a political appearance in New York and earlier in Philadelphia, he calls Judge Souter a man of integrity, an outstanding jurist, and a great legal mind. In terms of the abortion issue, the president is urging the Senate to avoid using what he calls a litmus test in Souter's confirmation process.
On the Nightbeat Newsline, Iraq and neighboring Kuwait beef up troops and tanks along their shared border as tensions heighten an oil dispute. Iraq is accusing Kuwait of conspiring with the U.S. to push oil prices down. U.S. ships in the Persian Gulf remain on alert.
A California judge concludes a preliminary hearing ordering Christian Brando to stand trial for murder. The 32-year-old son of actor Marlon Brando shot to death his half-sister's boyfriend. He claims it was an accident. A 300-pound female dolphin found stranded on a New Jersey beach has less than a 5% chance of survival, according to experts tonight at Mystic Marine Life Aquarium. Donald Trump made one of his helicopters available to fly the dolphin here for treatment. It's listed tonight in critical condition.
McDonald's and Wendy's make a long-awaited oil change today, switching from cholesterol-soaked beef tallow to cholesterol-free vegetable oil. Hardee's made the change 2 years ago, and Burger King announced last week it would switch to healthier oils.
Well, last night, you might recall, 3 on Your Side reporter Deborah Kent looked at the process of taking someone to small claims court. Tonight, in part 2 of To Sue or Not to Sue, she points out one problem if you win. How do you collect for damages?
You are to perform 120 hours of community service.
Unless you've had your day in court, most of us just glimpse the legal system through celebrity trials carried on the news. But going to small claims court was just as exciting for the Hawkins, who were demanding $885 from Firestone for allegedly ruining their car's transmission.
I had never been before court, and it was quite enlightening. And the fact that I was actually able to say exactly what happened, and when you know you're telling the truth, you have nothing to be afraid of.
The state won't allow us to photograph a session of small claims court, but it's much like Judge Wapner's court. It's held in morning and afternoon sessions, so you must set aside half a day. Be on time, bring witnesses if they're involved, and bring your best evidence.
We had records that we were keeping all along. We had receipts. We had everything documented.
The best advice? Be yourself.
Someone tried to play Perry Mason and try to emulate lawyers. Those who do not and who simply present their case, I think, do very well. And some of them, at times, appear to be more prepared than an attorney would be.
A decision is made within days, and there's no appeal. The Hawkins won their case.
It gives you a good feeling because, yeah, sometimes, you know, people take a lot and say courts don't do this and that. But it makes you feel a little happy about your legal system.
Until you try to collect.
The biggest complaint in small claims is collection.
While the court passes judgment, if the defendant doesn't pay up, you have to take a further legal step of obtaining what's called an execution order and hiring a sheriff to deliver it. An execution order can attach either their wages, property, or bank accounts. But you have to find out where those assets are located, and if they have no assets, you're out of luck.
The collection end of it is not that simple.
So you can win and still lose.
You could win and still not collect.
After 2 months, 4 trips to court, and a call from a sheriff, the Hawkins got their money through the small claims system.
I think companies must realize that they should not and be permitted and cannot abuse the public, as is done so often. So it was worth it, yes.
Deborah Kent, Channel 3 Eyewitness News, on the Nightbeat.
Well, that's good to know.
Got to hang in there and fight, I guess.
Yes.
Still to come on the Nightbeat, not much of a week for beach weather, has it been?
No, it hasn't been. However, Hilton says southern New England will be covered with clouds. We'll have Nightbeat details when we come back.
Well, the sun came out today just in time for it to set. Did you see it? It was
almost
beautiful.
the color of your jacket.
Was it that bright?
Part of it, sure.
You were shielding your eyes.
There was a rainbow out there, too.
Everything tonight, huh, Hilton?
Dazzling.
It was.
Absolutely. It was. We had a beautiful rainbow, and then a double rainbow, and then a spectacular sunset, and then lightning, and rain glistening on the city streets. What more could you ask for in southern New England weather, I ask you? Well, you might ask for the currents. Right now, the temperature is 74 degrees, and at dew point, 70, which means the air outside is very muggy. Winds are out of the north at 4 miles an hour. Barometric pressure steady, 30.10 inches of mercury. And our weather watcher this evening on the shoreline, Sidney Knowles of Old Lyme, says he's had showers most of the evening. A couple of heavy showers passed by, but he said nothing real spectacular. They were short-lived. Readings in the 70s on Connecticut shoreline, 73 at Sidney's house. We've got 74 at Channel 3, 71 at Bradley International Airport, the upper 60s in western Massachusetts. And we've had a band of clouds over us all evening, and these clouds represent a line of showers and thunderstorms moving out of the Atlantic Ocean due north over Connecticut. And if we put these radar echoes into motion beginning at 6 o'clock this morning, you'll see one batch moved over southeastern Massachusetts, giving some spots in southeastern Massachusetts nearly 7.5 inches of rain. And then this evening we've had one train of showers after another moving over Connecticut. Areas east of the Connecticut River are likely to be pretty wet overnight, with continuing showers and thunderstorms, primarily east of the river, but just about anywhere in Connecticut could get a shower tonight, and also in western Massachusetts. And for tomorrow, the front that's generating all these showers will remain basically stalled over us, moving slightly to the east, and exactly where this front settles out will define precisely where the rain will fall. And I think basically most of us over the next couple of days will stand the chance to get wet. The 5-day forecast has some partly sunny weather in it, but just about anywhere you see a cloud symbol, you could get a passing shower because the air is moist and the weather is unsettled. For tonight, look for real muggy conditions, showers and thunder showers mostly east of the Connecticut River with patchy fog, 65 to 70 for overnight lows. And then for tomorrow, a mix of clouds and sun, just a chance of showers and thunder showers, and highs in the 80s. For example, New Haven should have 80, while Hartford gets up to 84. Then tomorrow night, fog forming again, mostly cloudy. Again, the chance of showers, highs in the mid-60s. And for looking ahead to Thursday, partly sunny, continued unsettled, 80 to 85, and things heating up for Friday with temperatures getting up to 85 to 90 degrees. So not much of a wind right now. We'll have to stir up what action we can and dodge the raindrops tonight.
Kind of conditions that just reach inside, don't they?
Oh, they do. It's so steamy.
I know.
Thank you, Hilton.
Thanks, Hilton.
Persevere.
Well, Dave Smith with Nightbeat Sports coming up next. Boston trying to get turned around in Milwaukee.
The Mets taking on Philly as both pursue the top spot in their division. Nightbeat Sports coming up next. Stay with us.
It's by carry-on. Dykstra's going to have it.
Well, the Red Sox would appear to be ripe to turn things around, but is tonight the night?
Well, they're playing a team that everybody else has been beating all year, and they're in trouble again. The Red Sox need some fire, someone to come forward, light the spark, and if no one does, back up the truck and get rid of these guys. It's been long enough with these people. They just don't seem to want to get it done. Here's Bill Spires with the bases loaded. Greg Harris throws him a pitch he can handle, and into right field he goes. Kutcher, playing right field tonight, was playing almost center field for some reason. 2-run score. Why not send the third runner? The throw in the dirt. Marzano can't handle it. That made it 3-1. Right now it's 5-3 in the 8th inning. First place Toronto had to do what Boston couldn't do, and that's handle the Kansas City Royals. Well, they had them handled for the longest time, but Mike McFarland in the 9th inning hit a 2-run homer to make the score 3-2 in favor of Kansas City. But George Bell, with Fernandez on third, blooped a single to center to tie it at 3-3. They're now in the 11th inning. The score still 3-3. The Yankees in Texas, where tomorrow night there will be a big show with Nolan Ryan. They had rain tonight. They've just gotten underway. They're in the 2nd inning. Baltimore and Detroit did get their game in. No rain there. And Cecil Fielder hit number 32 tonight. Baltimore was creeping up on first place, but they stumbled tonight. In fact, Jeff Robinson of the Tigers had a no-hitter into the 8th inning when Mike Devereaux hit a home run against him. But Mosby hit one here. The final was 8-2. Robinson flirting with a no-hitter. So on your scoreboard, Milwaukee leading Boston 5-3 in the 8th. The Yanks are down 3-1 through 2 innings. Kevin Moss hit a home run for the Yanks. Elsewhere, Toronto is tied, as I told you. Detroit with its win. Chicago leading Cleveland. They're held up by rain, and Minnesota beat Seattle. The Mets got fouled up in Philadelphia last night. They had David Cohn trying to straighten things out tonight. And the Mets were in trouble for a while before they bailed out. Now here's Lenny Dykstra with a fly ball to right field. I'm not exactly sure what Strawberry was trying to do, or Carry On either, the center fielder, but I know what Lenny Dykstra was trying to do. An inside the park home run. The throw from Jeffries is not good, and he is able to beat the tag, an inside the park home run. But the Mets would come back and win this one, as Howard Johnson, late in the game, they got 4 runs in the 8th inning, would double in 2. Then Mackie Sasser homered to make it 6-4. Sasser had 2-run homers in this game, so the Mets go on to win it by a score of 7-4. And here's the home. Whoop, we won't see the home run. We'll see the home run by Sid Bream of the Pirates as Pittsburgh beat Montreal 5-3. So they remain game and a half ahead of the Mets. Jay Bell made it 3-2, and they won that game by a score of 5-3. So on your National League scoreboard, you've got New York winning, Pittsburgh winning, St. Louis about to win, and Houston and Atlanta about to split a doubleheader, or so it would appear. Tomorrow night, Nolan Ryan, as I said, will go for the number 300 win in his career. He's not the type to get overwhelmed by these things. He's just glad to be along for the ride.
Well, I never anticipated playing this long. I probably exceeded any expectations I had by, I'd say at least 8 years. I never envisioned myself being a different style pitcher, so yeah, I wasn't planning on being here. But being here, I really never anticipated pitching any differently. And I can honestly say that as a pitcher, I don't really feel any different than I did 15 years ago.
Well, he's throwing as he did 15 years ago. He's just a good old boy from Texas.
95-mile-an-hour fastball still.
Yeah, he's got that curveball, which is rather impressive, and I'm sure the Yanks are looking forward to that. Dave LaPointe pitches for the Yankees. I saw an interview with him tonight. He said, I'm going for number 79 in my career. The folks back in New York are excited about that.
Yeah, it's going to be
number
a great
79.
game.
By the way, the Russians beat the United States kids
in basketball?
92-85 in hoops at the Goodwill game. So our problems with that country in hoops continues.
Wow. All right. Thank you, Dave.
Well, finally on the Night Beat, call it art on wheels. 3 creatively painted BMWs, which raced in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, are now on display at the Denver Art Museum. The late Andy Warhol is among the artists who applied their talents to a race car. Warhol insisted on doing the paint job himself to give the car a more personal touch. His work of art finished 6th overall and 2nd in its class, qualifying perhaps for 15 minutes of fame, or, as the case may be, 15 seconds.
That's true. Certainly wouldn't lose that in a parking lot, that kind of car, you know?
Certainly wouldn't.
Certainly wouldn't.
Well, thanks for joining us once again on the Night Beat.
We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.